All right, here we have the pecs. So I'm going to do this from a seated position. I suggest doing this either from your knees or sitting gently on a chair, because it's going to help us maintain a low lumbar support and a thoracic support so that we don't get into too much arching. That can be a little bit more susceptible if we're standing and not quite understanding how to keep our spine nice and long and stretch the front of the chest. So we're working the shoulder blades, but we have to counter support it in our trunk in order to maximize and not fall into these bad habits here. So taking it from the knees, you can just be sitting on a chair and do the exact same thing here. Directing those sit bones down towards the floor, noticing if we're tucking them under or sticking them out, nice and directed to the floor. And then the spine, the pelvis is nice and wide. The spine is just floating up towards the ceiling, and our shoulder blades are drawing back and down. Those low ribs, top of our abdominal connection, where the TVA connects, pressing it back into the spine and then widening your back behind you. That's your setup. You're going to take your hands behind your back if you can. Feel free to use a towel, a TheraBand, grab a block, a ball, something. If you can't grasp your hands together, put something in there that can give you some feedback. We want to work first towards stretching the elbows in whichever position or modification you have. So if you have a block, you want to lengthen the elbows. This is the first step. So lengthening the elbows away from you, it's going to open up the shoulder joint. You're going to roll the shoulder joint openly and out away from you and release the pinky fingers down and away to help you stretch those elbow joints. Taking that as your first step, see where that is. If that's stretching for you, you're going to work the breath right there. Keep opening up the shoulders directly beside you and then taking the pinky fingers down and away from you. The pinky fingers, as they go down the way, they're also going to float up a bit. As your hands float up and away from you, keep rolling the shoulder blades back and down to keep the front of the chest nice and open. Then we want to think about wherever we are, we're going to open up the shoulders again directly beside us. So open up the shoulders again, maybe take the shoulder blades down and back again, open up the shoulder joints again, float the hands up away from your sternum. Sternum is directly straight in front of you. You're going to release down and shoulder roll. You can do this as many times as you want. So your setup is to make sure that your elbows can be straight, your spine can stay supported. As you float your hands up and away, you're sending your sternum out and away in front of you. Then you can open up the shoulders again, but without arching and contracting back. So as we float the hands out, the sternum out, nice long spine, open the shoulder blades again. This is going to create more of a stretch down the neck into the shoulder joint and then opening up and around, opening up the pecs. We can also take this one from standing in a slightly different modification. So if you need to stand and do a pec stretch, you're going to find a wall. The same leg closest to the wall is going to be forward, and you're going to have a slightly open, kind of like a mini triangle. This hand is going to reach up and over your head. When you find a stretch there, you can take your sternum and your eyes down and away on a diagonal and keep the fingers up towards you. And then you can bring it back and release it again, and the fingertips go away from you, and you take your sternum and your eyes down and away. You can also do this from a bent arm, where your arm is more in a 90-degree angle with a wall, say like a doorway. You can too take a split stance here, little triangle. You can press the forearm into the wall. Again, shoulder blade back and down, pulling the shoulder joint out and away, and then take eyes and sternum down and around. I like to wiggle my fingers no matter where I am, so that bassinet can just start to calibrate, stretch, and then releasing it, and then opening up again. We open up the shoulder blades back and down, Open up the shoulder joint, nice and directly away from us, beside us, and then take the sternum and the eyes down and away and off. Always maintaining that our trunk is being nice and supported. Those sit bones are always directing towards the floor. Our abdominals are engaged, thinking that the whole front body is pressing into the back body, that we're supported in all of the stretches that we're doing, and we're not just torquing ourselves into movement. We want to be supported and stretching and work the fascia in a very gentle way.